A drive through Woodley Estate reveals a sense of serenity and tranquility available in only a handful of estates within the country's capital. The estate, comprising of one-bedroom flats and either 2 or 3-bedroom bungalows, currently sits on about 85 of the 110 acres that had been allocated for it. That's because most of the open spaces within Woodley has been hived off. This market, for instance, before the year 2000 was an open area that residents called Mini Uhuru Park because it had flowing streams of water and lavish green gardens. Not anymore.
The majority of open space, we have these big guys normally grab the places. And sometimes it's crazy once you're fighting with new guys, whereby in our normal neighborhood we used just to talk and to do things together. But now it's crazy, yeah.
What's even more crazy is that some residents here have not had water flowing on their taps for over a decade. Don't let the jacaranda tree in every compound or the well-trimmed fences fool you. Woodley Estate's water problems have lasted for years without any proper resolution.
The big problem is we used to have the iron pipes, and sometimes they normally get rust. So the city guys, you need to repair the whole piping so that the water can continue to do that. It will be easier for the guys to do that. Because if we say the pipe has been down for like 40 years, so what do you normally get? It normally gets rust and it normally locks the water to come out. Yeah, they need to repair the pipes.
The irony is Nairobi Water Company have their offices within the neighborhood, but residents here still seldom get any water. For an estate constructed in the 1940s, it's really a surprise that Woodley has been able to last this long, considering roads here have never been recarpeted, neither have the houses ever been renovated.
The Nairobi City Council stopped maintaining, especially Woodley Estate, somewhere around 1968-69. They stopped. There was no maintenance. So it is the tenants themselves and the residents who live there who have been maintaining this. They've been doing the painting and cutting the fences and so forth. There has been absolutely zero maintenance by the Nairobi City Council, right? And even now, even after we got into the new system of government and evolution, there is still no maintenance going on. So we have been left to our own designs on how to maintain our estates.
Personally, I spent about $1 million shillings. Because the compound was in renovation, especially the compound. It was just a marshy area because it is cotton soil. So I had to spend a lot of money to make that place a bit habitable, to put the drainage system because the water comes from up there. And the house inside was, I don't know when the last time they repaired anything inside that house. So I really spent a lot of money.
But despite the renovations, the face of Woodley has by extent remained largely the same, even though high-rise buildings are slowly cropping up.
And we have seen a lot of changes. Just behind me you can see just new high-rise coming, because before we used to have mansionettes. We have the Marsh Park, we have another apartments down, and we have a limit place to play, because the field which we used to have, it was closed down. No, kids are not playing there. Yeah.
Since a majority of the open spaces no longer exist, the real struggle has been to maintain this one, which now serves as the only remaining ground for children to play.
That one survived because that one is right in front of the flats. And the ones behind the flats, those ones have survived. But can you believe it? They have titles. They all have titles, but the only thing is that no people couldn't manage to get in. Because even people even tried coming in at night to fence it, they were chased away. And cars were burnt and things like that. We had to fight to maintain this.
But no fight would be greater than the one the residents would engage in come the year 1994, when a section of leaders from City Hall decided to sell off the houses, albeit illegally.
Because sincerity comes from sitting with people and talking to people. They're not sincere.
Grace Conchella was one of the many victims of the fraudulent sale. She, just like the other 300 tenants of the houses, had been promised first priority sale since they were already living in the said houses. She parted with nearly 1.2 million shillings in 1997 to secure a 3-bedroom house.
I had no idea that it was not, they were not following the due process. Because if you've been living in a house for all those years and you are offered the house, why will you doubt? And I did not pay an individual. I paid with a banker's check.
Out of the 300 houses allegedly up for sale at the time, only 15 residing tenants ever got their paperwork approved for ownership. The other 285 houses were illegally allocated to cronies and family members of powerful individuals at City Hall.
Somehow, the Nairobi City Council, or then it was the Nairobi City Commission, decided they are going to issue allocation letters for the whole estate to people other than the residents, other than the people who are living in the estate. This created a lot of problems, because the people who were issued with the allocation letters then started coming to the estate and threatening the people who were living there. And we didn't know the estate had been sold. You know, we got to learn later.
But somehow, the whole thing was taken captive by the executive officers working in the city council. What we normally like calling it Kanjo Kingdom. They take over the whole thing captive. You see, instead of doing the prudent thing and selling the houses to the sitting-in tenants now, they brought some outsiders. And that's why the whole problem of Woodley became a time, you know, that's why it blew off, you know. Because you are sitting in a house, your family have been living in this house for the last 25, 30 years, and then you see somebody coming to say that I bought this house. So you're wondering, like, really?
Immediately, an uprising among residents blew the lead on a grand scheme which apparently had not been sanctioned by the government. The title deeds had to be recalled, but not before casualties emerged. Estate official, a Ghanaian foreigner by the name Charles Sosa, was apparently murdered for his opposition to the sale of the houses to non-tenants just months after he claimed the then director of urban planning at City Hall had threatened his life just 2 months prior.
One of my very close friends, Charles Sosa, was brutally murdered. You know, I think it was in 2001, and we were actively championing the cause of these houses, you know, saying that these houses should never have been sold to non-tenants. Because the idea had always been that if these houses are going to be sold, they're going to be sold to the sitting tenants. And even if you go to the Hansard, you will find that there was a unanimous motion, you know, when the Honorable Henry Rohio, introduced a private member's motion in Parliament, and saying that these houses should be sold to the sitting tenants. And the Parliament unanimously said, passed it and said, yes, they should be sold to sitting tenants. But when this motion was being passed, they were busy still selling the houses and issuing title deeds. So there was a lot of confusion then.
As then boss of the then Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, PLO Lumumba revoked some of the said titles, even though some homeowners moved to court to challenge that directive.
I think during that period there was a lot of confusion, because we visited the Minister of Local Government on 2-3 occasions, and they had no clue as to what was going on in Woodley.
So the houses had been sold right under their noses?
Yes, they'd been sold right under their noses.
It did not start from the government. It started from corrupt city council senior officers. You know, they decided to bring in their friends, their cronies, their families to come and buy the houses. which was really very unfair.
And it's an issue that has bedeviled the area ever since. Most of the tenants in Woodley Estate have on several occasions been threatened with eviction notices, even though no one is yet to be forcefully moved out. Grace Conchella is lucky to still have a house in Woodley. The scheme to have the estate irregularly sold off may have been thwarted, but no one has ever been brought to book over the saga that dates back more than 15 years ago. Still, Woodley residents remain concerned over the county's plans to have most of the old city council houses replaced by modern flats that can house a larger number of residents.
How does that argue with you?
I think, I don't know what to say.
We are thinking if government can come up with a good solution, each and everybody wants to be living in a good house and to do something good. But it will be difficult if they will not come down and talk to the people and make them understand how the development is going to be done.
They've never really sat down with us. No county government has ever really sat down with the Woodley people and asked them, Woodley, what do you want? You know, it is just get out of Woodley, get out of Woodley. No, we have a constitutional right to be heard.
But even as that debate rages on, Woodley, the historical 69-year-old estate, continues to host its nearly 2,000 residents who, despite their challenges, will tell you there's no place on earth quite like Woodley Estate.
The thing that I'm most proud of about Woodley Estate is that it still exists. Given the kind of problems that we went through, it's a miracle, and it is only through God's grace that we are here today. Because the problems that came with the illegal sale of this estate were too much for people to bear. You know, people couldn't sleep at night. You know, some people developed high blood pressure. So many things. And it was a constant daily battle. You know, fighting and doing this and doing a lot of things just to maintain the estate. That is one of the good things about Woodley, is that we stood up and we fought, and we still maintained the estate.
It's a monument. Woodley is a monument. It's the only place in Nairobi city. I've been to several cities in these European countries. They have places like Woodley, kind of a monument area, you know, with a lot of memories. You see, Obama is one of the memories. Some members of the Kenyatta family used to live there, and many first legislators. It's a historical monument, really.
For Area Code, I am Timothy Otieno.